You are surrounded by the ghosts of who you could have been. That expensive camera, gathering dust, the language app that's been silent for months, the half-finished course you swore would change your life. Each one is a tombstone for a version of you that didn't survive the honeymoon phase. And the worst part isn't the wasted money. It's the slow, silent erosion of your self-trust. You stop believing in your own excitement. When a new spark hits, you don't feel joy. You feel a cold sense of dread because you already know how this story ends. You've seen this movie before and you hate the finale. You know the exact moment the dopamine will fade, leaving you stranded in the boredom zone, feeling like a failure. Again, people call you flaky. Your friends stop asking about your new projects because they don't want to watch you quit. And eventually, you start believing the label that you simply don't have what it takes, that you were born without the grit gene. But what if that story is incomplete? What if the reason you quit isn't a lack of character, but a predictable biological brain response you've never been taught how to handle? Today, we interrupt the cycle. I'm going to show you exactly what happens when your motivation collapses and how to train yourself to stay when it does. You're about to turn a scattered drive into focused follow-through. Before the science, we fix the story. Because you haven't just been quitting projects, you've been quitting on yourself. The shame shows up in small moments. When you see that guitar and can't even touch it. When someone asks, "Are you still learning Spanish?" and your face gets hot because you're tired of explaining. But here's the truth. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are a high-frequency explorer. Look at your patterns. You don't quit because you don't care. You quit because you care intensely until your brain stops rewarding the effort. You fall in love fast. You learn the basics at lightning speed. Your notebooks fill with ambitious plans because your curiosity runs ahead of your habits. The problem isn't the fire. The problem is that no one showed you how to keep it alive after the spark. Biologically, your brain is hypersensitive to newness, not naturally tuned for long stretches of slow reward. That doesn't make you defective. It means you need a different training strategy. You're not a failed specialist. You're an explorer who hasn't learned how to build depth yet. And here's what nobody tells you. The explorers who learn to build depth, they don't just catch up to the specialists. They surpass them because they bring something the specialists never can, the ability to connect dots across completely different worlds. Once you understand the machinery of reward and effort, you stop seeing yourself as weak. You start seeing yourself as trainable. But to train the right thing, you first need to understand exactly what is breaking down inside your brain the moment you want to quit. So what actually happens inside your skull? It comes down to a pattern called the reward prediction error. When you start something new, dopamine spikes. You go from 0 to kind of good very fast. Your brain learns new things equal big reward. This is the honeymoon phase. But then the curve flattens. Progress slows. Each hour of practice gives less feedback than before. Your brain updates its prediction. High effort, low reward, dopamine drops. You experience that drop as boredom, restlessness, or sudden doubt. And a region called the anterior insula flags this state as inefficient. It's a biological ejector seat. It's not dangerous, but it's costly. It's your brain's way of trying to save energy by convincing you that the task is no longer worth the fuel. So your brain generates exit thoughts. Maybe this isn't for me. I should try something else. They feel logical, but they're driven by chemistry, not intention. Here's the secret. That dopamine drop is not failure. It's the entrance to the phase where real skill is built. Most people never make it past this point, not because they lack talent, not because they chose the wrong thing, but because nobody ever told them that the discomfort they are feeling is completely normal and completely temporary. It's just the tax your brain charges for moving from amateur to expert. And there is a specific region involved in staying through that phase, the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, AMCC. It grows when you choose effort without immediate reward. That's not willpower, that's physical training. Why would a brain like this exist? Because in the early tribe, we needed two types of people. We needed specialists, people who refined tools over decades, but we also needed scouts. The scouts were restless. They noticed new plants, new paths, new threats. They got bored easily, and that boredom pushed the tribe outward. In a stable world, the scout looks unreliable. In a changing world, the scout keeps the tribe alive. The problem isn't that you crave new things. The problem is trying to live like a specialist without building any staying power. You've been forcing exploration without structure, and structure without training feels like a cage. But here is the shift. The most powerful version of you is not the scout who wanders forever. It's the scout who learns when to stop, plant a flag, and build something worth coming back to. There is a muscle that allows the scout to stay long enough to build something real. To change the pattern, you don't need a new personality. You need a stronger AMCC. Think of it as your tenacity muscle. Here's how you train it. 1. Name the dopamine drop. When the excitement fades, don't panic. Say, my honeymoon phase is ending. This is a checkpoint, not a verdict. Naming the moment gives you back the power of choice. You are no longer a victim of your chemistry. You are an observer of it. 2. Use the 15% rule. When you want to quit, don't push for hours. Do 15% more than you planned. If you wanted to stop at page 10, go to page 12. Then stop on purpose. That single decision teaches your brain that discomfort doesn't control you. You are building a new neural pathway that says, I decide when we're done. 3. Shrink the unit of success. Your brain hates vague goals. Instead of learn Spanish, commit to 10 minutes of verbs. Small wins don't trigger resistance. They build trust. 4. Celebrate the stay. Stop measuring progress by excitement. Start measuring it by how often you stayed after it faded. Every single time you chose to stay, you left a deposit in the bank of your own self-trust. And that account compounds. Over time, that trust becomes your new baseline. This isn't grinding, it's calibration. Once that muscle grows, your curiosity finally has a foundation. And a curious mind with a strong foundation, that is one of the rarest and most dangerous combinations on the planet. Stop apologizing for your lack of grit. You were never broken. You were just running a powerful engine without instructions. Dopamine made you think the first chapter was the whole story. But the real story starts on the plateau. That biology you've been fighting isn't your enemy. It's raw potential waiting for a driver. Stop wandering from one half-finished version of yourself to the next. Start becoming the explorer who actually builds. The moment the excitement fades is not the signal to quit. This is where the true explorer finally gets what they were built for. The plateau is not where you fail. It's where you learn how to stay. It's where you learn how to build. It is where you finally begin to live as the explorer you were always meant to be.